One map, one game, many different characters divided into stereotypical classes, and a simple goal: destroy the enemy base on the other side. Remember when MOBAs were that one genre your friends disappeared into for 5,000 hours and came back speaking about patch notes? Yeah, they never left. They just evolved. And tonight we're asking the big question: is Dota 2 still worth diving into in 2025? And how's the whole MOBA lane doing right now? Dota's still putting on a show. The International 2024 peaked around 1.51–1.52 million concurrent viewers, capped by Team Liquid finally breaking their finals curse with a clean 3-0 over Game & Gladiators. That's less about shrinking hype and more about a genre that's branching. We'll get there. And Valve's already loading the next round. TI-14 lands in Hamburg's Barclays Arena, September 11th to 14, 2025. A return to Germany after 14 years, with a tighter arena-centric format and 16 teams. Meanwhile, across the Rift, League of Legends shattered Esports records in 2024, tilde 6.9 million peak viewers for the world's grand final. Different game, different pacing, but it tells us something important. The MOBA audience didn't vanish, it spread out. And a huge slice moved to mobile. Mobile Legends Bang Bang's M5 hit Tiltum of 5.07 million peak viewers. Honor of Kings World Cup 2025 just set the franchise record at 650K caller peak with millions of hours watched. And Dota itself, still mutating in weird and wonderful ways. Patch 7.38 literally rebuilt the river. Wider, with a current that speeds you up, plus fresh creeps and objective tweaks that nudge how fights break out and how you rotate. It's the same brutal strategy sandbox with a new current to carry your throws. Or your comebacks, dealer's choice. So here's our thesis for today's video. Dota 2 in 2025 is absolutely playable, watchable, and very alive, but it lives in a split ecosystem where PC giants prize depth and prestige, while mobile MOBAs dominate raw scale and frequency. We're going to trace how Dota got here from TI1 to Hamburg, what changed with heroes, maps, and monetization, and how its esports identity adapted after the Battle Pass era. Then we'll stack it against LoL, MLBB, Honor of Kings, and even Smite 2 to figure out which lane suits you now. If you're returning after a few years, don't worry. The map is bigger, the river moves, and your friends still say, one last game. At 3 a.m., some traditions are sacred. Grab a snack, mute your ranked anxiety, and let's start where it all began. How Dota learned to grow without losing its soul. Our story starts in Cologne, 2011. TI1 drops a then unthinkable $1.6 million prize pool, plants the aegis in esports history, and tells every strategy nerd on Earth, yes, this can be your Super Bowl. 2 years later, Dota 2 officially released on July 9th, 2013, and the era began.
Hero truly need. Much depends upon the hero. Would you be swift?
Fast forward a decade, the prize pool rocket ship levels out, but the spectacle doesn't. TI-13 in Copenhagen, September 2024, crowns Team Liquid, finally shaking off the always the finalist meme with a 3-0 over Game & Gladiators. Liquid takes the biggest slice of a $2.77 million pool, smaller than the old Battle Pass peaks, sure, but with viewership still cracking 1.51 million concurrent. Prestige stayed. Funding philosophy changed, and the next chapter's booked. TI-14 returns to Germany, Hamburg's Barclays Arena, September 11th through 14th, 2025. 16 teams, tighter format, and a venue built to make every team fight sound like a thunderclap. Mark the dates, especially if you missed seeing TI in Europe since 2011. About that funding philosophy. In June 2023, Valve said they were moving away from the annual TI Battle Pass so they could funnel dev time into year-round updates instead of one mega release. Community reaction? Mixed, loud, and extremely Dota. But the result has been a steadier cadence. Big gameplay overhauls, seasonal cosmetics through Dota Plus, and story events like Crownfall that roll out across the year. Dota Plus picked up the slack on the reasons to log in side. Seasonal quests for shards, a purchasable treasure, updated guild rewards, and the experimental Dota Labs. Newspe, Trains, Twosome. Speaking of moving, New Frontiers. Patch 7.33, April 2023, blew the walls out. The map expanded, objectives multiplied, matchmaking and UI got reworks. That update made Dota feel like stepping into your old neighborhood and realizing they built a second town behind it. Then Crownfall gave the universe some theater, 4 acts, new cosmetics, lore, a traveling festival vibe. And on November 7th, 2024, the finale arrived with a new troublemaker, Kez, leader of the Flightless, flapping straight into the hero pool. Drafts got spicier, and Skywrath gained a rival in the avian-adjacent department. Finally, Tease, and in February 2025, Valve flooded the lanes, literally. Patch 7.38, Wandering Waters, widened the river and added a current that actually pushes rotations. There are amphibious creeps roaming the waterways, lotus pools and wisdom shrines were reworked, and the map edges now host streams of traversable water that change how you approach towers and retreats. It's the same 5-on-5 brain war, but macro decisions carry a new kind of momentum. So, where does that leave the player base? On PC, Dota 2 keeps posting healthy peaks. 708, 720k early in 2025, 650, 657k through spring, 626 day peaks around July 27, 28, 2025. Not mobile scale numbers, but rock solid for a 12-year-old live game with a high skill ceiling. Zooming out, the MOBA genre in 2025 looks like a tree with 2 very thick branches. On PC, Dota 2 and League of Legends still define the highest skill, longest-running esports ecosystems. On mobile, Mobile Legends and Honor of Kings command truly gigantic audiences and increasingly lavish events. Same core loop, different tempos, and wildly different scale. First, the PC pillars. Worlds 2024 didn't just win. It set the all-time esports peak viewership record at 6.94 million during T1 vs BLG, stacking multiple most popular records in the process. League's global finals are now the genre's attendance lighthouse. If you measure MOBAs by maximum eyeballs at one moment, LOL sits on the throne. Music groups of various genres: female K-pop, male K-pop, rock, Dota, do something. So LOL is the stadium anthem. Dota is the prog rock epic. Quick stat PSA. Concurrent viewers at an event and daily/monthly active users aren't the same metric. Mobile MOBAs often dwarf PC games in total players, while PC finals still anchor prestige production and sponsorship in the West. Keep that in mind when comparing who's bigger. All of this now funnels into a single summer juggernaut, the Esports World Cup, Riyadh. 2025's prize pool tops $70 million, the largest in esports history, with $38+ million spread across game championships and a $27 million club championship that rewards multi-title performance. Even chess joined the roster this year, because why not bring a 1,500-year-old esport to the party? This multi-title format matters for MOBAs. It puts LOL, Hawk, MLBB, and adjacent titles on the same global stage, creating a summer rhythm where fans bounce between games and organizations chase cross-discipline points. It rewards the teams with deep rosters and the regions with deep benches. Then there's the console-friendly lane, Smite 2. Hi-Rez rebooted its third-person MOBA in 24/7 alpha on August 27, 2024, with early access development stretching through 2025. It leans into action feel, aims skill shots, over-the-shoulder brawls, while keeping MOBA macro. If you love the genre but prefer a gamepad and a different camera, Smite 2 is the parent of prizing. If you're judging health, PC MOBAs own prestige peaks and legacy. Mobile MOBAs own massive daily reach and growth in emerging markets. The surprise is that they're not cannibalizing each other. They're coexisting. More lanes, more players, more places to watch. Okay, big picture mapped. But what should you play in 2025? Let's talk onboarding, toxicity myths, how long a match really takes now, and what each game gives you for showing up. So, should you jump into a MOBA in 2025? And which lane is yours? Short answer, yes. But pick the flavor that matches your time, temperament, and tolerance for patch note philosophy. Dota 2 and LoL still anchor PC prestige, while MLBB and Honor of Kings deliver the fastest match-to-fun ratio on mobile. Different routes to the same dopamine tower. If you're MOBA-curious or returning after a break, Dota 2 in 2025 is genuinely welcoming. Valve's multi-year push on the new player experience added tutorials, goal-based quests, and clearer guidance. The 7.38 Wandering Waters patch then refreshed rotations with a wider river and a movement speed current, plus reworked lotus pools, wisdom shrines, and new amphibious creeps that change how you contest vision and timings. It still has a steep ceiling, but the path up is better marked than it used to be. League of Legends remains the easiest PC on-ramp if you want fast queues and a titanic content ecosystem. Quick play skips champ select, pre-pick roles, champions, and you go straight from lobby to loading screen, while Swift Play speeds objective and economy pacing for shorter sessions. On Summoner's Rift, expect roughly 30 to 35 minutes on average, with ARAM often landing 18 to 22 minutes if you want one game over dinner. Smite 2 is your wild card, a third-person controller-friendly MOBA in ongoing early access after launching alpha. It keeps macro strategy, but swaps clicks for crosshairs. Perfect if isometric just doesn't click. Expect constant iteration through 2025. Pick Dota 2 if you crave maximum complexity and love that every patch rewrites the textbook. Plan for learning time. The payoff is huge. Pick League of Legends if you want speed to match and the most watched finals in esports. Quick play, swift play reduce friction. The broader ecosystem, guides, creators, collegiate, pro, makes learning social. Pick MLBB if you want short, repeatable sessions with gigantic regional scenes. Typical games hover around 10 to 15 minutes. Pick Honor of Kings if you want the largest player base and a fast-rising global esport. KWC 2025 just set the franchise record. Try Smite 2 if you want console-native action with MOBA brains. It's early, but uniquely positioned. Toxicity? Every competitive game wrestles with it. The strongest antidotes are good cues, clear roles, and faster entry, which is exactly why Riot added Quick Play, Swift Play, why Valve keeps smoothing new player tools, and why mobile MOBAs favor short matches that reset tilt quickly. None of this erases bad behavior, but the design trend is toward lower friction, faster fun, and better guidance. Valve plays the long game. Since 2020, we've had Hoodwink, Dawnbreaker, Marcy, Primal Beast, Muerta, Ringmaster, August 24, 2024, Kez, November 7, 2024, and no new hero yet in 2025. That's roughly one hero a year, with the roster sitting at 126 heroes on patch 7.39. These drops are eventful, but intentionally spaced. Popularity in Dota follows a familiar curve. Launch spike, settle into a niche. Ringmaster burst out with high pick rates, then normalized. Dota buff shows him stabilizing with middling popularity and a near-even win rate. Kez cooled faster, hovering in the lower third for pick rate, with sub 50% wins in broad pubs, though specialists squeeze more out of specific talents. In other words, Valve's newcomers tend to add draft spice rather than hard warp the meta for months. Riot's cadence is quicker. 2023 shipped Melio, Nefiri, Briar, Hui, 4 champs. 2024 brought Smolder and Aurora, and late year Ambessa as a third. 2025 opened with Mel on January 23rd. Total champion pool now 170, and the modern pace lands around 2 to 4 champs per year. Still slower than early LoL, but noticeably faster than Dota. Impact-wise, LoL's new faces often hit pro play instantly. Aurora was the most contested champion at World's 2024 main event, 96.3% presence, 64.3% win rate, first phase bans and snaps everywhere. In solo queue, Smolder settled into a healthy mid-single digit to high single-digit pick rate, with along the 50 to 51% wins, ebbing with patches. Mel launched with buzz, but her long-term place is still shaking out. If you want frequent novelty and immediate pro-level shakeups, LoL wins on cadence. If you prefer big systemic patches with an occasional new specialist that broadens drafts without whiplash, Dota's approach will feel just right. Also, I cannot fail to mention a seemingly insignificant but catastrophically important aspect of the community. Yes, I'm talking about so-called NSFW content. I don't want to push you into anything, but those who are familiar with and have searched for such community creations will agree with me. Dota doesn't stand a chance compared to League of Legends. So here's my verdict. Yes, it's worth it in 2025. Pick the lane that fits your life. If you want the deepest sandbox, Dota's river is flowing. If you want instant games and global crowds, mobile's on fire. And if you just want to lock a champion and go, quick play's waiting. Drop your lane in the comments and tell me the last time the current carried your team or carried you straight into Roshan. I won't judge.